Hello viewers, Super GT here, welcome back, thank you for joining me for another video. My last video before Christmas, so Merry Christmas everyone, even if you don't follow Christmas, Merry Christmas anyway. Okay, so you saw the grid there, I was 12th, not that great, but it was a very competitive grid, only half a second between myself and pole position near enough. As we come through the final corner, these two guys almost bottle it, thankfully for them they don't. As we cross the start line here, you can see the gap already to the lead, 9 seconds. So it's going to be very difficult to try and win from this far back on the grid, but of course the main objective here really just overtake as many people as we possibly can. So yeah, quite a big gap to begin with. That is fairly normal with these rolling starts, and if you start anywhere behind 7th, then you do get messed up by the positioning of the final corner. So the guy who starts 7th is in a bad spot there, really. Now we go past the fumbling Italian, a bit slow into the corkscrew. German now with a penalty just up in front, using the Subaru WRX. And from my experience of doing this race a good 5 or 6 times now, I can say that probably the best car I've seen is the WRX. I've seen someone do the race very quickly in that car. The Mercedes here that I'm using, the AMG, very solid choice as well. But there are a fair few cars. Most people in this one go for the 911 as we try to go around the outside. Not quite going to work as he goes defensive into this Andretti hairpin at the bottom of the hill. Now he's got a 2-second penalty, so we can just wait a couple of corners. The penalty zone is just coming into turn 5. So one more corner here, this is turn 4 coming into now. And you're going to serve that penalty in just a moment there. So we move up into 10th from 12th on the grid. And now it's just really a case of trying to bridge that gap to the guys up ahead. They're 2.5 seconds ahead at this point. Although there is now an Italian who made a mistake coming out of turn number 6. And that gap comes right down. Coming into the final corner, you can go for a move here, definitely too far back at this point to go for it. That would be a major send, first class delivery, signed and sealed if I were to have pulled that one off. The better place to do it is turn 1, or turn 2 officially, this is turn 1 here. And turn 2, he keeps to the left hand side and eventually just opens up the space. And that was possible, I think I could have gone for it, but I don't play it safe on this occasion. Now just going to scan ahead to this Russian, who quite ominously has RAM in his name, RAM. So just punting that guy wide, and you might see that was insignificant, but we could follow that guy a little bit later on in the lap as well. I do find it interesting looking back at replays and just seeing what the hell went on, because this last lap got quite interesting, or this lap here, lap 3. So either the tiny tap on the Russian, and he goes a little bit deep onto the through the corkscrew. Now this is where things get really rather interesting, as Pepe, the German, trying to recreate the 1941 scenes in Eastern Europe, and he just swipes across. And the German, yeah, okay then, penalty system, 6-second penalty for that. You'd be the judge of that, but I think it's fairly conclusive that that wasn't meant to be that way around. But anyway, the Russian's in the wall, and the German with a 6-second penalty. Not great, not good at all. That is going to play into my hands though, I suppose, as I've gone past the Russian, of course, up into 9th, and then we're going to gain one more position around these couple of corners when the German serves his 6-second penalty. This new penalty system is very, very strong. It's like they've reverted back to an old version of the penalty system when it's very, very strong, ridiculously strong. Like we're living under some sort of North Korean dictatorship now, where even the smallest of crimes, even if you didn't actually commit the crime, just like what that Pepe guy did, he didn't really do anything. You're gonna get your head cut off basically. Okay, so the Italian just going a little bit wide at the exit of turn 6. Very easy to do that, and I almost went into the back of him. I kind of just had to back off and then just accelerate into the gap. Thankfully I didn't hit him in the rear end. So we go up into 7th from 12th on the grid, so this is actually not going too badly. Lap 4, so we still have 10 laps to go as well. It's about a 20-minute race. The quickest I've seen it done is 19 minutes 22 seconds, which is absolutely rapid. A couple of laps later, in fact, well, 1 lap later, end of lap number 5, coming up towards turn 11, the final corner. Up behind the NSX now, driven by the French player here. Tucked into the slipstream, probably too far back to go for this move into turn 2, the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. I like to call it turn 1 because this little left-hander, I don't really classify as a turn, but officially it is. Brakes quite early and I just send it. Now that's a first-class delivery right there. Amazon one-day delivery right up the inside at turn 2. To be honest, I didn't really even mean to do that. I think you just braked a tiny bit early and I braked pretty much where you can brake. And, well, you saw the result. Up into 6th place. Great stuff. Okay, so the race getting fairly spread out now. 10.5 seconds behind the leader at this point in time. And we only started, what, 8 or 9 seconds behind. So I've only lost a little bit of time to the lead, which is not too bad. Which is to be expected, I guess, because starting a bit further back, you're going to start fighting people and getting involved with stuff, so you're probably going to lose a little bit of time. So the speed isn't too bad at this point. Lapping in the mid-23s. If you can start doing 22s, then you're bang on it. Low 23s is good pace, though. So now, by lap 9, it took a couple of laps, which is why I did like this race, because it is one that requires a general consistency over the course of the race. Up behind another German, this time in the 911, and the 911 was a very popular choice. It normally is when some sort of tyre saving is required. Although the main strength of that Porsche is the fuel, and the fuel is basically insignificant in this race. You don't have to fuel save at all. There's no fuel required. Would have been nice to have maybe a race where you have to go into the pits at least once, but that is not the case. Perhaps they should trial that. Races where they just force a pit stop and just opens up a bit of strategy. But how this race is actually not too bad. It is just a 20-minute dash essentially. So you do have to save your tyres a little bit, but not a massive amount. Well, you do, but it really depends on the car that you're in. Okay, so coming right up behind him now, he's going to go semi-defensive, still opens up the inside. Hit our braking point, he goes a little bit deep, which just shows you what happens if you go offline, and he slides a little bit wide. I think his tyres are beginning to go off actually. So I say about not managing your tyres, but you do need to manage your tyres. By the last couple of laps of the race, if you didn't manage your tyres, they will be dying of death quite early, and we're only on lap 10, so he's still got 4 more to go after this. It's going to be quite hard for him to really keep that car under control. So I'm going to turn my attention to try to catching the guy in front, and the gap did come down. It's sitting now just below 3 seconds, where it was about 5 when I went past Lucas. So I did manage to get it down, but into the final corner he just completely binned it. Big bottle there, major bottle, and it's hard to know exactly why, but it just shows you that if you just put the time in, try to catch people up, even if it's not looking good, even if they do look too far away, you might put some pressure on them, you never know. And you made a mistake, and I was close enough to capitalise on that mistake. If the gap was about the same as it was when I went past Lucas, I probably wouldn't have been close enough to get past there. But by putting in the time, I did manage to get the position and come through to finish in 4th, which I think is a really solid result. All the laps in the 23s, if you looked at the consistency there, it was not too bad at all. And come through in 4th place. Look at the amount of 911s. Very, very popular choice, but I don't think it is actually the best car for that race. So the main problem there was starting 12th, of course. So we're going to go back in the Taylor Swift livery. There she is, licking Disco's crumbs off her fingers. Very, very saucy indeed. Now, improved my lap quite quickly on my second lap here, up to 122 points. Actually, no, I did a session, then I watched a ghost, and then I did this lap. So down to a 22.1. So coming down towards turn 1, you want to brake just before that white line on the 3, and just after the change of sand to tarmac. And you're trail braking in, you're sort of turning in to the apex. I'll go a little bit deep here, but you can cut back for that second apex. So you do want to go a little bit deep into the corner, and then cut back for a second apex. Out wide, and then running close to the sausage, powering out pretty much when you're next to the sausage. This track I really feel like is about acceleration zones, just knowing exactly when to accelerate out the corner, and a lot of the time it's just after the sausage or just on the sausage. So into this corner, for example, after the sausage and just before the white bit of the curb, you want to be accelerating already. As long as you get the line right, you want to know that I've got the line so I can accelerate now, and then you're getting speed all the way down the next straight. Through here, a little bit wide, but you can use a bit of the green AstroTurf from the exit, carry a lot of speed through there. This one's awkward entry into the corkscrew, braking quite early over the crest, keep to the right. Using the green on the entry here, I actually go a little bit wide, but keeping it nice and solid in a straight line when you're accelerating, and getting good power on the exit, taking quite a narrow line, follow sort of the darker tarmac there. Over to the left hand side, use the curb on the left, use the curb on the right, don't touch the sausage though of course, and use the curb on the left, braking just before the 3, down into first gear, and then it's a quick shift up into second as you accelerate away, and that is going to be an improvement of about 3, nearly 4 tenths, down to a 21.7. Not too bad lap. That's in the Audi R8, but you will be able to get a quicker lap in the Renault RS01. In fact, in my live stream I got a 21.5 pretty much after about 3 laps. So go for the Renault RS01 if you want the quickest lap around here. But it isn't necessarily the quickest car in the race. It does have its rear tyre problems. Okay, so we go again. We're going to try and learn as quickly as possible here, as I feel like the first race wasn't too bad a performance. We learned quite a lot from that actually. I think I finished about 8 seconds off the lead. So if anything, I actually gained on the lead in that previous race from 12th. And so that's a good sign. If I can just carry that forward into this one, then that would be great. So we got R4M Quintin ominously on pole position. We've got the WRX, both in the WRX, the top 2 here. I've gone for the Mercedes once again, as I felt very comfortable in the Mercedes. Very easy to drive this car, and if you want a reliable, solid choice for this race, but indeed most races, then you can't go far wrong with the Mercedes Group 3 car. Okay, so through turn 6, lap 1 is really just about just trying to settle into the race and make sure you don't do anything silly, just stay in the slipstream range. A magical suck zone of 1.5 seconds, going a little bit too deep on the brakes. That was a bit silly. We're right into the back of the French player here, and this is something you should really know about this track as well. If you go off track, your tyres are very dirty for a couple of corners, and you have basically no grip. So Nivek, luckily here, I don't think he went too wide, but if you do go all 4 wheels onto the sand, honestly for about half a lap, you might as well be on ice. You basically have 0 grip. You're basically taking part in BBC Strictly Come Dancing on ice for half a lap. So you don't do that. Try to avoid going off track, as it really does mess you up. And it can decide the race really. If you're in a really close race where every little thing matters, then half a lap of no grip can really, really affect the result. So it's really, really important. That's why this race is quite a hard test of it's a 20-minute sprint of concentration and not making a single error, or trying to minimise your errors. That's why it is quite a good test. Now, the race is settled down here, top 5 all beginning to pull away, and it just shows you how important it is to qualify at the front, as there are already pretty big groups forming. And you'll notice this as you do this race. Anyone from 7th backwards, we spoke about this earlier, because of the final corner, they all get messed up, basically. You see this around any track which ends with a chicane or a sharp corner, Suzuka, Catalunya, Spa, they all get messed up. People at a certain position get messed up by the rolling start. So it's really important that you start in front of that, and around this track it's 7th place. If you're in 7th, you'll start right here, right on the corner, and you can't get going quickly, so you lose loads of time. So you need to ideally qualify ahead of that. Okay, so first lap here, 23.4. I'm going to keep tabs on that consistency, as this race again, it really is about just settling into a groove and getting consistent lap times down. And it's a mid-23 there. Going to try to be at least a mid-23 from here to the end of the race. The last couple of laps will be tricky though, but try to keep it in the 23s at least for the last sort of 2-3 laps as the tyres begin to die of death. As we're keeping it under control here, Quintin barely keeping under control there, just dipping 2 wheels beyond the curb onto the sand. And you see the result there was almost catastrophic. Kept it under control though, up the hill towards turn number 6. Blind entry this one, going to clip the apex out wide. And Quintin doing the same mistake again, 2 wheels onto the grass, onto the sand. And that's going to see him doing a nice little 90-degree turn into the barrier. Not ideal, not an ideal racing line as he moved down the order down into 6th place of all places. And his loss is my gain, up to 2nd now, behind the race leader, the new de facto race leader, into the final corner. There's no need to rush a move here. We've still got plenty of time left to go in this race, 16 minutes roughly, or 15 and a bit. As we have Bottle Spark behind in the Lancer, interesting choice, and we pull in a nice 23.3 lap time. We're going to go for the move here, down into turn number 2, on the brakes up the inside. It's a really long corner this one, so you don't have to get the move fully done already. He's side by side here though, and he just backs out. You see that on the radar, and therefore we don't have to go side by side. Now, looking back at Mr. Ram here, now looking at the replay, you see the Bottle Sparks completely bottles it on his own. Unassisted bottle into the shadow realm. So he says goodbye to any chances of success in this one. Okay, so that helps in a way because it's just one less person to potentially worry about in the race. So I'm in the lead with the Frenchman just behind, with the Russian just behind, and 4th place is beginning to drop off. I'm not going to go defensive, there's no point in doing that really. So it's really just about churning out the consistent laps. The guy behind is just going to sit there kind of, he's just going to kind of settle into that 2nd place now. So I think it's really a case of just churning in, or churning out the fast consistent laps. And there's no need to defend really, even if this guy goes past, we can try to get back past him. But I suppose from about sort of lap 10 onwards, you don't really want to let him get past as a little bit too close to the end of the race. So crossing the line, again, another mid-23, so consistent, 23.4, so we've done a 23.4, 24.3, 23.4. So 3 laps pretty much within a 10th and a half of each other there. And it's that kind of lapping which is going to, you know, hopefully see you through. As the WRX still in tow. Of course, it's quite important, the slipstream, he can just kind of sit there and be comfortable and just follow me around for a good couple of laps at least. So it's quite a tough situation to know exactly what to do in this. Obviously, the real answer is just be really quick, get good, and just drive off into the distance and be so quick that no one can keep up. That's the obvious answer. But when people are equal speed with you, it can be quite tricky. And I've always sort of thought that it's actually easier to have 2 people right behind you rather than 1. Because when you've only got 1 person, then that person can just focus on trying to get past you. He doesn't have to worry about anyone else. But when there's 2 people behind, the guy in 2nd has to think about defending as well. And quite often they can start fighting, and that can give you a chance to kind of sneak away whilst they're busy smacking each other up. So through the final corner, lap number 5, driving to the line. Let's see, oh no, we're going to skip ahead. So that was a couple of really quick laps there, 23.2, 23.3, so still the consistency remains. A couple of laps there within 2 or 3 tenths of each other. And the gap is just getting a little bit bigger by lap 7 here. We're coming up to the halfway mark into the race, and it's just going to creep over a second. And I think this is my time to try and pull away. So normally I'm driving at about 90%, not pushing the car too much, just leaving the car a good 5-10 metres before the braking zone, just making sure that I don't brake on the limit and push the car too much and scrub speed off by trail braking too much. Into this first corner you do want to trail brake. But I think this lap now is really about just really pushing and just trying to really escape the slipstream attention of the guys behind. As immediately we've gone up to 1.6 seconds, the gap, as those 2 guys have started fighting. So the Russian through into 2nd, past the Subaru, and you see the gap there just opening up a little bit. 1.5 seconds the gap, as that's quite a crucial gap. I'm out of the magical 1.5 seconds, as so I'm not any longer pulling them along in this race, and that's quite crucial. So it's really important now just to try to manage that gap and make sure it stays above 1.5, and it is hovering just above. So one little mistake and it's back below. So I have to be really consistent still and quick, obviously, because this Russian is not slow. End of lap 10, the gap's still just above 1.5, in fact 1.6. Look at the lap times there, all mid 123s. The last lap 0.7, but back down to a 0.4 on lap number 10. So it's that kind of consistency that you need, and the way that I've been doing it is really just to drive a little bit below the limit, as I felt like if you just drive right on the ragged edge, you can gain more speed, but you're going to wear out your tyres, and at the end of the race you're going to really suffer. And this is the end of the race, so the lap times did go down a little bit, 23.7, 23.7 the last 2 laps around, but as we've gone through the final corner a little bit wide, that's pretty much the biggest mistake we've made in the race. It's going to be a clinical victory with a gap of about 2.8 seconds. Final lap just below a 24, so still a 23. Finishing time of 19:35, not too bad. And there we go. We've learnt quickly, and we've translated a 4th from 12th into a 1st from 3rd. Not too bad a result, but I do really enjoy the circuit. Really enjoy getting into a flow around this track. Really did enjoy it, and I hope you did too. But that is all from me. Thank you so much for watching, and this is my final video before Christmas, so I'd just like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for supporting me in 2019. I shall see you on the other side. Enjoy your new socks and Lynx Africa. I'll see you the other side of Christmas. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.